Time has gone by, and God knows I've tried. Still I'm here trying to work out the best way to survive. I held on to hope. I put on a show.
Welcome back to Getting on My Nerves. Today, I have my beautiful co-host, Sophie Ward, with me. Sophie?
Hi, everybody.
I'm Angie Walsh, and today we're very honored to have with us Micky Ruble, who is an MS warrior. She's going to share with us her story, things about MS that you don't know, and we're just going to have a good time talking. So welcome, Micky.
Thank you, Angie. I'm excited to be here.
We're excited to have you.
Yeah, we're very excited to have you.
So I'm probably gonna get rid of this, but I wore this today because this beautiful woman made this for me a few years ago. I call it an intuitive shawl. And when she knits it, she weaves positive intentions into it. And she sent me a beautiful letter, and I wanted to wear it today because it has orange in it. And I'm trying to wear orange, but this is literally the only orange I have in my wardrobe. So an MS color is orange. So, but I love this. I love this, and I will wear it when I'm needing some encouragement or love, because it's like a hug.
I'm so glad that you love it.
Right. So, but I'm probably gonna have to take it off because I'm getting hot. I'm having a hot flash. So I was trying to keep it on, but I don't know. Anyway, so Micky, I'll tell you guys a little backstory. Micky and I have known each other since 7th grade. So we've been friends a very long time, and we may not have always spoken to each other, every day over the years, but it's always just like picking up like we talked yesterday whenever we talk. And she's been a big supporter for me with Lyme and Lyme disease. And when she was figuring out or trying to figure out what was wrong with her, she was suspecting Lyme, but she received an MS diagnosis. So a lot of us go through that, Micky. Maybe you can explain what the difference was for you.
Yeah, so my journey started in 2012. I knew something was wrong with my body. If you listen hard enough, I'm positive that you can hear your body speak to you. So I knew something was wrong, and I went to see everyone told me to see a neurologist with the things that I had going on, my primary care. So went to a neurologist. They did an MRI. They did a spinal tap. I had 3 lesions on my brain at the time, and that warranted the spinal tap, which I will say, because I'll probably forget to say it, most neurologists now, about 90% of them, don't even use spinal tap to help diagnose MS. They used to look for O bands, and I can't think of what the full name of those are, and I probably can't pronounce it anyway. But when they did the spinal tap, my spinal fluid came back clear, so they decided I didn't have MS, but I had fibromyalgia and I was anxious. So it was, here, take these pills, here's some anxiety medication, exercise, meditate, all of that. And I'm like, okay, that's what we'll do. It wasn't getting any better. It was getting worse. And I worked in HR for 30 plus years, and it was getting to the point where I was messing up payroll. I was messing up insurance benefits, things that I never messed up. This sounds awful to toot my own horn, but I was really good at my job. Yeah. And, so I went and saw another neurologist. He didn't do any tests, which should have been my first red flag. He should have redone all the tests, except the spinal tap. They will have to sedate me to ever do that to me again. Oh. So he decided the same thing. Anxiety. Here, take some Xanax, which Xanax has its place, but that's not what I needed at the time. And so then I just got really down, and I was really depressed for several years. And I figured it was just me. I was a hypochondriac, and I'm just getting older. And I was in my mid 40s, so I wasn't getting older. And I just kind of gave up. And I ran into another friend of Angie's and mine from high school who has MS, and told her what was going on. And she said, you need to see my neurologist. And so I made an appointment and went and saw her neurologist, who did all the tests. He tested for lupus. He tested for Lyme. And I actually got a hold of Angie and said, what tests do I need him to do to make sure he does the right ones for Lyme? And he did those. I took that list to him, and he's like, absolutely, we can do this. And so I did that on a Thursday. All the blood work, all the everything. They test you for everything, and did an MRI, and my blood work all came back clean, but I had 24 lesions on my brain now. A lot of times MS lesions will start on your spine. I still don't have any on my spine. Mine are all like, if you think of your brain as a balloon, well, the eclipse that we just had,
Right.
I have like the outside of my brain glows. I like to call it my halo. And so all of my lesions are around the outside of my brain. And where your lesions are at affect the severity of your MS. People that, get hit automatically with all of a sudden they're numb on one side. A lot of times that's a lesion somewhere and they don't go away. They'll calm down, but they flare up, much like Lyme and other diseases flare up. So a week after I had all the testing done, I went in and he sat me down and he said, well, I know what's wrong with you. And I love my neuro. And I said, okay, let's hear it. And he said, you have MS. And then he showed me my MRI with all my lesions. And I started laughing. I thought I would cry. I went to this appointment convinced I had a brain tumor.
Yeah.
So I started laughing, and my neurologist laughed with me. And I said, I'm sorry, that's probably not a proper response. And he said, no, I get that from a lot of people, especially people like you that went 7 years of misdiagnosis.
Yeah.
And I said, and then I started crying because I was like, I'm not crazy. Well, I'm crazy, but I'm not crazy about my health.
Yeah. Exactly.
And so it was a long journey, and it's very disheartening. And you feel like a hypochondriac and a pill seeker, and I refuse pain pills. I don't have anything against them other than I've seen what they can do to people. And so I try to do more all natural homeopathic, Epsom salt baths and meditation and yoga and stuff like that does help. But that was how my journey started. So I started it in 2012. I was officially diagnosed in 2018. And my doctor thinks I probably had, because along with one of the things that you get with one of my lesions is called dystonia, which is basically a shaking or a tremor. And I have cervical dystonia. So my head tremors. My neck shakes pretty bad sometimes, and it makes my head shake. So where was I going with that? See, this is the fun part of MS. I had a whole point with that. That was it. My first head tremor, my sister-in-law noticed when we were 22. And I blew it off to being a mom 24. I'm sorry. I was 24. Had a new baby. We just bought a house. I was tired. I was working full time. Like, I just blew it off to that and then let it go until I hit my 40s. So a piece of advice for me with anybody that watches this that is young. I recently met a girl who is 15 that was just diagnosed with MS.
Oh, wow.
So please, no matter how old you are, advocate for your health with your parents, with your doctor, with your spouse, your partner, whoever. Advocate for that, because I feel like, and I could be wrong, but had they done the right things and gotten me on a disease-modifying therapy, or at least known what it was to where I could find my own therapy that worked, I feel like I wouldn't be retired at 52 and, that I'd still be working and doing my career. I was the height of my career. And so I feel like if they'd have caught that, maybe I wouldn't have gone from 3 lesions to 24 and it being the way it is now. So that's kind of my journey in a nutshell. And now I have a great neurologist, and I've had enough MRIs that I should stick like a magnet to a refrigerator. But I think it's all about getting those answers. And I wish if I could go back, I would have fought harder for myself instead of just believing what a doctor says.
It's a really, really lonely place as well when there's something wrong and the doctors are telling you you're fine. And like you said before, you do think you're crazy because you're putting all your faith in the medical professionals because that's what they're here to do. And they're telling you you're fine. But we know our bodies better than anyone. So when they don't listen, you do start, the doubt sort of seeps in, your family's backing what the doctors are saying, and you just think, oh my gosh. And you went through a long period of that sort of loneliness because you were fighting for that diagnosis for so long.
Yep, exactly. That's so well put. Like, And I feel like anybody in any of the communities, whether it's lupus or Lyme or MS or any type of autoimmune disease, I feel like, we fight our health, and then we fight for answers, and then we fight for treatment. And it's just it's a fight. It's a constant fight when your body's already fighting. So I think that's what we do, is we just say, oh, well, this guy went to medical school and I'm paying him a lot of money, so he must know what he's talking about, and I must be crazy.
Yeah.
Well,
Exactly.
and like, this is like a common theme. This is a common thread where like all of us, all three of us sitting here, as well as other guests we've had and other people that all of us know, where they say they go to the doctor, and sometimes because you're young, they'll say, well, you're too young to have anything. In this day and age, like, I know young people that they go in with anxiety, they go in with feeling depressed. They just automatically give them pills instead of trying to find out what is causing that. Because like you, Micky, or Sophie, or me, if you have those symptoms, those are kind of like your oil light, or, like a light going off in your car, like, hey, you need to check me because there's something happening here. But see, it's also overlooked or just given a pill. And so like, no matter how old you are, like you said, no matter how old you are, don't discredit something because someone says, oh, you're too young or you're too old. No, that's it. It will come out at the time that your body is like, I can't handle this anymore. Someone help.
Yeah.
So it's.
And also, I don't know if it's the same with you guys in America, but in the UK, like obviously with Lyme, and it's probably the same with MS, you have like a number of symptoms. So if I went in with like a kidney infection, sore throat, like could barely speak, migraines, they'd be like, right, well, we can't treat everything today. We've got 10 minutes. So what's your worst symptom? And then we're going to treat that one today. And then you'll have to come back a different day. And it's like, well, you need to be doing the umbrella and the jigsaw and placing them all together and thinking of the bigger picture, not just singling out certain symptoms and saying, oh, we'll treat this one today because we've only got 10 minutes.
That's
right. I absolutely agree. That's one of the things that I say all the time about my neurologist. Like, I've gone in for an appointment before and sat in the waiting room for an hour waiting on him after my appointment should have been. And it never bothers me because I know what he's doing is the same thing he does with me. He may schedule people every 15, 20 minutes, half hour, whatever, but that person needed more time, and he's taking his time with them to listen and interestingly enough, too, one of the other pieces of advice I would have for people is if your doctor's not asking about your mental health while you're going through all this, that's another red flag for me, because every time I see my neurologist, he walks in the room, says, hey, Mrs. Ruble, how's your mental health today?
That's really good.
First thing he asks me. And he's very supportive of, and some days I'm like, it's pretty good. And other days I'm like, it's in the trash. What can we do? But it's crazy. And that you just make yourself feel crazy and then you spiral, and that doesn't help your health any. So, yeah.
When you talk about your mental health and your doctor, I still remember the story you told me of you were at this grocery store with your husband. And I don't know what's going on with me lately. I'm remembering things that I have totally forgotten, or just like they're popping up. I know. I will tell you, I want to talk to you because I've been taking mushroom extracts, like double, and there's a whole process to this. I'm going to do like a thing on it on Nerve Mind, but the lion's mane, I am noticing a difference. Now, it isn't consistent yet. And it's just like, it's kind of like a cloudy day where the sun pops out and it goes back in. That's my brain right now. It just pops out and in. But I, that lost herbal lady, Nicole something, I don't know how you say her last name. Yeah. She has MS and she takes mushroom extracts like every day. That's part of her maintenance protocol. And I can see why, because there's something to them. So I'll talk to you about that. Yeah. But something that's similar with Lyme and MS is rage, and they call it Lyme rage for Lyme. I remember you telling me a story about you were in the grocery store with your husband and you got so upset because over hot dogs, and like you had to go out to the car and you were crying. You were like screamed at him in the car But here's the thing. She went, when she went to her doctor, her husband went with her, and he was talking to him about her rage. And he said, should we be worried? And your doctor said, I would be worried if she didn't have it. Do you want to talk about that? Because I think that's amazing.
Yeah, it's such a silly story. I can laugh about it now, but yes, not literally came to blows, but and I think that with a lot of other autoimmune disorders and I think even just anxiety in general, I get overstimulated easily. And I was never like that before. I was never like that. I was the person that had 5,000 irons in a fire and kept them all at the same temperature. I was good at that. You work in HR for long enough, you learn how to juggle really well. And then I'd say it was maybe a year or so after my diagnosis, I had noticed, or before my diagnosis, I had noticed that I would I'd be fine and then just instantly pissed off about something. It could be the tiniest thing. So my husband, God love him, we're at the grocery store, and there were so many people there, and it was so noisy. And physically, I wasn't feeling that bad, but mentally, I was just like, could these people just shut up? Like, it was just too much. It was like an overstimulated child, So we go over, he wanted hot dogs. And I was like, well, so I'm standing there waiting on him because I just want to get out of the store at this point. And he's like, well, which ones should we get? Should we get these? Ooh, look at these. Maybe we could get those. And I'm standing there and I can feel the heat rise up my neck. And I was like, this is not going to end well. And I said quietly, oh my gosh, I don't want to use foul language on here in case any little ones ever listen. But I said, just pick out some hot dogs. I don't care which ones. And then he looked at me and he's like, well, what is wrong with you? And I was like, I don't care what hot dogs you get. I don't care. There's 5 million hot dogs. They're all made with nothing but pork butt and snout. Just get some hot dogs. And he was like, do you need to go sit in the car? And I said, I absolutely do. And I jerked the keys out of his hand and I marched my butt right out of that store. And I know people were looking at me, and I don't like to be embarrassed, but at this point I didn't care. And I am muttering and cussing under my breath all the way out of the store, got in the car, slammed the car door as hard as I could, because that always helps.
Yeah.
I sat there for about 10 minutes, took a few deep breaths, and I walked back into the store about 10 or 15 minutes later. And he was getting into line, and he looked at me. He's like, are you good? And I said, did you get your hot dogs? And then we got in the car and like, I'm sorry. I don't know where that came from. It was just hot dogs. Like, oddly enough, last night we had a little tiny row about cheesecake.
Oh, no.
That was on him, though. We'll leave that on him. He can come in here and talk someday. But yeah, and I've always been an emotional person. Wear my heart on my sleeve. I am what I am. What you see is what you get. And I've noticed I'm so much more emotional. Like, I cry at the drop of a hat. I will be fine 1 minute, and the next minute I'm just like, I'm done. I'm done with you. I'm done with all of this. I'm done with everybody. So the rage or the anger, I think, it's definitely there. And I think that the more you're aware of it, because now I can feel it, and I remove myself from the situation. And if I can't remove myself from the situation, I just shut down and quit paying attention. And I figured out that that's what works for me. It may not be what works for everybody. But my doctor told him, Jamie had asked if he could talk to him alone when we went to the next appointment. And my doctor asked if that was okay. And I said, absolutely, I don't care. So I asked him what he asked about. It took him 3 days to tell me the truth. I think I remember telling you that, Angie. Yeah. And finally he did. He said, he asked me, he was like, is it normal for her to be this angry, to be this like sometimes she's just in a rage? Like, is that normal? And he said, my doctor said, I'd be concerned about her if she wasn't. Her body is fighting her every single day, and what I've heard people say is, think about having the flu. The flu is terrible. I've had it. I was down for 3 weeks with it. It's awful. I still won't get a flu shot, but rather have flu. But he said, think of it like having the flu all the time and how you feel. And then when you finally don't have the cough and the fever and all of that, and you spend that next month just trying to recover, He's like, that's what her body's doing every single day of her life, it's fighting her, and she's trying to recover it. So he's like, I'd be worried about her if she wasn't angry. So I got my hall pass for anger.
That's a great analogy, though, because like what he said, like we're constantly, when we have flares and we have different things going on, and once we can get it calmed down, then we have to recover from that flare. And it may take you a couple of months, and then all of a sudden, you're walking a tightrope and something flared you again. It's just, and a lot of times it can be out of your control. Maybe you catch a cold. Maybe you're around someone that was sick and they forgot to tell you they were sick, or you just go out. Like, it's so crazy. You get overstimulated. That's a big thing for me too. Like, I still have to watch that, you know?
Yeah, I do too. And I've learned the things that get to me the most. And so I just try to not put myself in those situations. And some of that has come with cutting some people out of my life because I can't. There goes my cat. Sorry about that, guys. She wants in on it.
All right.
I've had to cut some people out. And some of those people, have been family. But for my own mental health and well-being, because we all know stress isn't good for anybody. But I think what people don't understand when I say I need to stay unstressed, stress can put me in bed for a week.
Yeah.
So I'll just remove myself from the things that are stressing me. Haven't been feeling super great lately, but it's been raining here for days on end. And so the weather even, the barometric pressure drops and I've got an instant migraine. So, yeah.
I know, like, here's something that Sophie and we discuss a lot. And we, how people will say, I'll push through it. I'll push through it. Well, after so long, your body has no push left and you can't. You may be able to push yourself, but then there is the risk of you being down for weeks to months trying to recover. And then it just sets up a
absolutely
avalanche of things like, it sets you up to be able to get sick, sets you up for, and stress and pushing yourself or no sleep. There's so many things that factor in, and most of it is out of our control. And I think that's frustrating as well.
Yes. When it's something that you can't control, and it's so frustrating. Like here we are coming into the weekend. My husband will be off work for a couple of days, and currently the right side of my body does not want to work cooperatively with the left side of my body. So, who knows what the weekend holds? I may feel better tomorrow. I may not. It's such a day to day. And that's what I keep saying is you just have to take it day by day and like pushing yourself, because I worked for so long. It's been a weird transition for me to be home and feel like all I do is cook and clean and do laundry, knit and crochet when I want to, but you can only do so much of that for so long. And so then you sit and then your brain gets spinning, and it just, like you said, then it creates that whole avalanche of things. So I like the spoon theory that they use.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love the spoon theory. I've literally in the past, I've gotten up out of bed and I'll go, we only have a setting for 4. So I'll get like 4 spoons and 2 forks and set them out on the counter. Yeah. And I'll take a shower. That takes 2 of those spoons. Like, nobody understands tired until you take a shower and you have to take a nap afterwards.
Yeah.
I used to love to get out of the shower.
I've crawled out the bathroom before to my bed and had to lay there for like 2 hours. Like, that's true. Somebody made a meme about that.
They had to pick me up off the floor once and lay me on the bed. Like, and and sometimes it's great. Sometimes I can take a shower that's so hot my skin's red. And other times it's got to be lukewarm or I'm going to pass out in the shower. Right. So like I said, it's just such a day-to-day thing, and just listening to your body. And I have been bad. Honestly, if we're going to just full transparency here, I've been bad about the pushing of myself for the last several years. And it's just been maybe the last year or so that I've finally been like, you know what? You don't need to be able to eat off the floor every day. It can go without being swept one day. Right. Or you can ask somebody else to throw the laundry in when they get home. Like, it's okay to grab a book or watch your favorite show, or it's okay. It's called self-care. Right. And if I don't do it, then I'm not going to be good to anybody. Yeah. And then that also brings on the rage. So
Avalanche.
Avalanche.
No, but it is very true though, because I think as well, like obviously you came from a really high flying career as well, where you were go, 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 go all the time. And then when you're home like all the time, you're like, I'm not used to this. I'm used to coming home at like 5 o'clock and then going like making tea, going straight to bed. And then I start the day again. I'm out the house first thing in the morning. And it's like almost like where's all this time as well? Like you're not used to having so much time. And like obviously when people are busy, people are like, well, you've got it really good because you've got all the time in the world, and like because they don't have that much time. But when you do have all that time and you're in so much pain, you do just like work yourself up because you get into that overthinking cycle, and then you dwell on the pain as well, and you just feel like you're clock watching and the time isn't moving, and your day just seems to drag sometimes.
Exactly. So I'm learning to fill it with other things, and sometimes that's knitting or crocheting, sometimes it's watching a great show, or sometimes it's just I'll go in and organize my yarn in my craft room, and it's that feeling of accomplishment. I think and the identity, like I feel like my identity isn't necessarily, oh, that's Micky, she has MS. It used to be, oh, that's Micky, she's our HR manager, she does benefits and payroll and this, and I went to colleges and spoke and did career fairs, and I spoke at high schools, and now it's Micky early retired and she has MS. So you've got to find a balance with the identity thing too, and I think that's anybody that deals with anything like this that takes away parts of your life, so
It does.
Definitely an adjustment and a half.
There's like the labeling, like at first I think you're excited because when you get a diagnosis, you're like, thank God I have a diagnosis. So like, it's all about that. Okay. It's all about that label. Then when you get yourself into more of a wellness state, you start drifting away from the people that are really, really sick or who are posting all the time about the disease that you have, because you start not associating yourself with that because you're in a wellness place. But then, and you don't want to be identified as having MS or Lyme or cancer or anything else, like but it's weird how people will do that. I will ask you this, Micky, do you find that, because Sophie and I with Lyme, it's not much sympathy with Lyme, to be honest. And people don't know enough about it. They're just like, she don't have cancer, and I'm not saying anything bad about cancer. I'm trying to compare to people because someone comes out and says, I have cancer. Support. You come out and say you have Lyme.
All support in the world.
MS. Okay, that sucks for you. At least you don't have cancer.
Yeah.
And that's the typical response. Yeah. It is. And my response to, well, at least it's not cancer, is I look at people and say, I almost wish it was. They can cure cancer.
Exactly. Yeah.
They can't. I'm going to have this for the rest of my life. Now, and it may get worse. It may not. It may stay like it is now.
Right.
Who knows? But I've gone from not needing a cane ever to needing a cane now and then. And I've actually got a walker too. And I'm so vain that I hate using either of them. But my doctor's like, would you rather break a hip?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So, but yeah, I do notice that. My favorite is, and I'm sure you guys get this with Lyme as well. Oh, well, my aunt's neighbor's dog's friend's sister's niece has MS and she's fine. She's a fireman. Yeah. And you're like, well, good for her. Like,
right. More power to her.
I'm happy for her, and then when I think about it, and I think that my doctor thinks I've probably had this since I was in my 20s, I've been battling this crap for a while. So I feel like I'm doing pretty good, at this stage. But there's a whole, in one of the MS communities I'm in, there's this whole list of things to not say to someone with MS. And one of them, the very top one is, well, at least it's not cancer. And then the other one is, oh, I know someone who knows someone who knows someone. Yeah. And they still work. They're fine. One of my favorites is, you're so lucky that you're on disability and you get to stay home.
Oh, I hate that one when they think it's like it's what you want to do is not work.
Exactly. And I was making I was up there, and I was at the, like, almost at the very top of where I could be in my career. And here, take my MS and I will gladly go back to work. Like, I'll go, you take my MS and I'll go do your job. Like, that's so frustrating to hear. And it's not that I don't want people to go, oh, you have MS, I'm so sorry.
Right.
What I want is, wow, that sucks. Or from people that are close to me, I want, is there anything I can do to support you?
Yeah.
And 9 times out of 10, my answer is no, just do your research, and understand it, because there are so many little unknown things, like little hidden gems about MS, as we like to call them, that people just don't understand. And it's true that you don't get it until you get it. I don't know what it's like to have Lyme. I do know that it acts like MS very much, but I also know that MS, from their studies, it's not going to kill me, but it's going to shorten my lifespan by about 7 to 10 years.
Okay.
I know people with Lyme that don't make it that long. They don't make it a year or 2 years, or so. It frustrates me because I love Angie so much. It frustrates me that people act like that act like Lyme's not a big deal, because it's a huge deal. And I feel like they almost, we know more about MS now, and I feel like they need to know more about Lyme.
It's so true though, because in the UK, we have like 2 weeks of antibiotics if you get bitten by a tick, and they think that cures it. They don't. Late stage Lyme, Lyme doesn't exist. Chronic Lyme doesn't exist. You get treated. You can be treated. You can be cured. But that's not, like, once it's gone past a month within your body, like, it's invaded everywhere, and it is uncurable. And they just don't get it, but they don't want to pump the money behind it, because it is
exactly
a complex illness.
Exactly.
So, Micky, why don't you tell us some of those hidden gems about MS that people don't know?
So, one of my favorites, people will see me out here we live in a lake community, and they'll see me out with our neighbors out on the boat, and my favorite, well, you look good. Great, because I feel like crap on the inside.
Yeah.
It's not like I was going to stop living my life. And so people see me out there, and then they might see me a couple days later with a cane, and they're like, well, you didn't have that at the restaurant at the marina last week, or I didn't see you with a cane while you were on the boat. I don't always need it. And that's one of the things that people just do not get with MS is I could literally be in the hospital tomorrow with a horrendous flare, or I could feel great. Like, it's such an unknown, and the things that trigger it or spike it, or however you want to, phrase it, those are unknown too. Sometimes it's I didn't get enough sleep. Sometimes it's just like right now, it's raining like crazy. And so that's one of the little hidden things. You may see somebody in a wheelchair one week, and the next week they're walking fine. And so then people are like, oh, you don't really have MS. It's not really that bad. It's the nature of the beast. Like, it could be okay one day and not okay the next.
Right. So this brings in the whole having your handicap card for your car, because you may not need it every day. And like I say, I don't always use mine, but if I'm going out and I have several places to go, or sometimes I may even only have one place to go, but I'm not doing good that day, I'll park. Have you ever had anybody say anything to you for?
That was my other little hidden gem thing. So that was a hard pill for me to swallow when my doctor gave me a permanent handicap placard. I thought it was just going to be like a 30-day and she'll be fine. Nope. I learned a lot about MS in the first 6 months. It's the dirty looks that I get when I do use it, and I don't use it all the time.
Right.
And it's not always, because this is my other little hidden thing. Sometimes I use it because my legs are wobbly, and just that extra couple of feet, I may end up on the ground.
Right.
And sometimes I use it for that. I will admit to having used it when it's snowing really hard out and it's icy because I don't want to fall and it's crappy out. But one of the things that people don't understand is, so the spots where my plaques are, my lesions, whatever you want to call them, they affect a lot of my critical thinking in my memory, my ability to remember things, and my like spatial. I don't know how to put that. Yeah, like where I'm at. So I have driven I go to the same Walmart every time I have to go. And I went one day and I put my phone in my purse, or my phone was in my purse and someone had texted me, and I don't text and drive. So I got it out of my purse, looked down at my phone, read the message, put it back in my purse, and looked up and had no idea where I was.
Yeah.
No clue where I was at. And I had to call my husband. And I called him in a panic. And I'm like, I don't know where I'm at. I don't know where I am. And he's like, calm down, take a breath, look around you. So then I've started using, if I'm by myself, I almost always use my handicap card. And this is why. My body may be okay that day, but okay for me would probably keep most people home from work.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what I was trying to explain. Is like, okay for me you would probably be in the ER, not you guys personally,
Right.
but someone who was healthy would probably be in the ER and they'd be like, something's wrong with me. But I use it because I love the dirty looks, and I just smile and say, have a blessed day. And I mentally give them the bird. But when I'm out by myself, the reason that I use it is because I know that there are a limited number of handicap spots in that parking lot. And so I will be able to find my car.
Yeah.
So for me, if I go somewhere and I park out the regular parking spot, again, 9 times out of 10, I come out and I have no idea where my car's at.
Yeah.
Like I don't, my brain does not hold that memory long enough sometimes to remember where I parked. And I've tried like texting myself in my phone, like I parked on the grocery side, 4 aisles back, and my brain just will not lock in on that. So a lot of times I use it more because I know where I'm at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And people don't see that. And I just want to shake the crap out of people and be like,
yeah,
just quit being so rude and let me walk into the store. Be glad you don't have one of these.
Right. Now I've been there. Have you, Sophie? Because I used to like joke around and be like, yeah, we're in Scooby-Doo 3, like theme parks, whatever. And but sometimes Scooby-Doo 3 turns into Scooby-Doo 7 and you don't realize where you are. Like, because if you made a marker, like with a vehicle, that vehicle leaves and then you're screwed. And your car or truck does not look like your vehicle at all. I use the card, or I will try to park by a certain door. Now this works sometimes and sometimes it doesn't, because if I park by a door that I'm like, I'll remember that I parked here, by this door where it's grocery or, the other end, the other stuff. And then I'm coming out the other door like, oh, damn, where's my car? And it's way on the other side, So people don't understand that it's not just a physical struggle. It's a mental struggle as well as emotional. Exactly. Just the battles we fight that no one sees.
I know, that's why we're invisible. But I love the dirty looks, and luckily I'm not someone that's gotten a note on my car yet. I have talked to other people that people will leave nasty notes on their car.
No.
Yeah.
You want to talk about Lyme or MS rage?
Right.
Come out.
That's when it will come out, and I will find you. I will find who wrote that note and put it on my car.
Screw finding her car again. She'll find you.
Those are a couple of them. I think that some of the other little things that people don't understand or maybe don't know about MS, unless you love somebody that has it, and you can even love someone that has it and not know. I got lucky, and my husband and both our sons, did research when they found out that that's what I had. So they kind of understand. I think they like to pretend it's not there sometimes, but that's just, I think that's in general how guys deal with. Nothing against men, I love all of you, but I think that's how they deal with it sometimes, is just
hoping,
cover the eyes and pretend it's all, there's going to be some miracle, But I think that, like I said earlier, like I'm sure there are people out there that look for sympathy and all of that. There are a couple of celebrities that I won't name that I don't really think put a great narrative out there about MS. I think Christina Applegate is doing a fabulous job. I think Jamie Sigler is doing a wonderful job as well. But I think that, how can I put this? So I have said, and this is probably a horrible way to put it, but I have said, I was a smoker, and I still every now and then am a smoker. And so if I had lung cancer, that's on me. Like, I did that to myself.
Right.
I didn't do this to myself. They don't even know what causes it. They've bounced around with so many different things that they think causes MS. I didn't ask for this. I mean, I guess I did. I asked for an answer and I got it. But yeah, I don't think 80% of the MS community is wanting any kind of special treatment, or it just be nice. Like, don't quit judging books by their covers, because you really literally never know. Never know.
Right.
My 2 cents, and that's about how much it's worth.
No, it's worth a lot. And the thing is that everybody says you don't get it till you get it, but that's why we all advocate so hard, is because we don't want you to get it. And if we can help you prevent it or catch it sooner, so you don't go through all the stuff that we've all gone through, then I always say, if I can help one person, then I've accomplished something from having this. And we know that we help more than just one person, but when one person comes forward and says, that really spoke to me, this really helped me, what you said, or I tried this and it worked for me. And that's the thing too. Like, I was just sitting here thinking, I was telling y'all about my success with these mushrooms, and I'm like, oh, this is one of the pet peeves that we have, is where people come up and go, hey, have you tried turmeric?
But no, the mushrooms, especially the lion's mane, I'd never heard of it before, but I've found this. I think a lot of times you have to find community. You have to find a community of people, and they can be anywhere, that understand.
Right.
That have an understanding. And I found this great community of people on TikTok. And someone the other day brought up lion's mane and how it has helped so much with their, just their mental stability, as well as just their overall being able to remember things and being able to hold things. Like, I can tell you things that I did from years ago, but I can't tell you what I ate for breakfast yesterday. So I think that it's a good thing. Like, I think Eastern and Western medicine both have a place.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if you get to combine the two, or if you you have to find your path on it, what works best for you, and what works best for some doesn't work best for everybody else. But I have heard a lot about the lion's mane, and then
there's
turmeric.
There is, like, turmeric is really good. It's like, you got to do your research with anything, because if you just go to Walmart or some store, I don't know what's in the UK, Sophie, if you just go and you buy what you see, you have to research that herb. You have to research and find out the best way for it to be made, the best extract. Like with the mushrooms, they have to be double extracted in alcohol and water. Some people can't have alcohol. They make them without it, but you don't get all the nutrients and stuff from the mushrooms. They have to be done that way. And they need to be the fruiting bodies and not the roots of the mushroom. Because you put that in there, it's just like putting crap in your tinctures. And most of the time, pills don't work. Like for us with Lyme, MS, tinctures work best. It's because it gets in the blood so fast. And it bypasses your gut. A lot of us can't, we can't tolerate all these pills. It's just like we're wasting money because we don't absorb them and they don't break down properly. So yeah, there's a lot, but there's research, because there are tons of research papers out there about how lion's mane will regenerate the nerve cells and even myelin sheath around your nerves. I mean, they have like scientific studies that they've done on this. And like, so, and I've heard about lion's mane for years, but I never put it in my protocol until now. So
yeah, it's something that I'm going to start. I need to do my research and find out where the best place here is to get, or if I should just, find somewhere online to get it.
I have a place. I'll send you the place I get mine.
That would be awesome. I would love that, because we were just talking about it yesterday.
Yeah.
So definitely. And there is some, and anybody, whether you have an illness or not, the things that you put in your body are going to affect how your body operates. Yep. And so a few weeks ago, I started, it's actually been 6 weeks now, got 4 weeks of it left. I got accepted into, and it wasn't for people with MS, it was just an overall general health thing here at IU West at one of the hospitals. And it's a 10-week exercise and nutrition program.
Oh, wow.
And yes, and I will say it has been wonderful. There are days that I work out and I'm like, oh, that sucked, but it does give me energy. Now I will say the next day I'm usually like down a little bit for the day, just trying to kind of recover from it. But the nutrition side of the exercise part has been great, just getting me up and moving, I think.
Yeah.
But the nutrition side of it, I've learned a lot. They focus a lot on the Mediterranean way of eating Mediterranean diet, or whatever people call it, which is basically just you limit red meat and you eat a lot of fish and nuts and seeds, which is all stuff I like that I was already kind of eating, but I didn't realize I am a Diet Coke addict. Like, I drink it from the minute I get up in the morning until the minute I go to bed at night. Well, when I started this program, I quit drinking Diet Coke. Angie knows what a big deal that is for me, because I've been trying to do it for a while.
Very proud of you.
I quit drinking Diet Coke and I started just drinking water. And I am shocked at how much better my gut health is.
That's
like, completely shocked. Just getting that Diet Coke, it was obviously not good for my system. And we were traveling and I was like, I just want a fountain Diet Coke. I haven't had one in weeks. I want a fountain. And Jamie's like, I think having one every now and then is okay. Just not drinking from sun up to sundown. It's not good for you. And I found out that soda in general raises your triglycerides. And I already have high triglycerides for its genetic stupid thing. And hopefully I'm getting them down by getting rid of the Diet Coke. But I took, like, the first sip out of it was like heaven. I am not going to lie. The second and third, I was like, ugh, can you grab me a bottle of water? I don't even like the taste of it anymore. And, you know, the exercise and the kind of paying a little more attention to what I eat is definitely a good thing. I think it's a good thing for anybody. It's not going to cure the MS. It's not going to stop me from having flares, but it might make the rest of my body healthier. And if the rest of my body is healthier, then maybe it can help, you know, keep the MS from flaring as much. Because I'm about a flare a month right now, but I'm also not on any meds. We're in the midst of switching, so that's fun.
So since you mentioned diet, the Walls Protocol, I know you're going to say this in the nicest way possible, but it's important to like talk about different protocols and programs and doctors, because it's not a one size fits all. It's not a cookie cutter protocol. We're all different. There may be one thing or two things or whatever that we all take that works for us, but then you may be taking something, or Sophie takes something, like, I can't have that. So the Walls Protocol, tell us what you think about it and how it did not help you, work for you.
So I have to start out by saying I think that Terry Walls is an amazing, just ridiculously intelligent woman. I love that she told her story. I love where she went, you know, that she went from wheelchair bound to now riding bicycle and marathons. I think that's fantastic. What I guess my only, not issue with it, but I guess my issue with it is that I think that, and not just her, there are all kinds of people out there. And that's the other thing that MSers get tired of hearing is, oh, you just need to change your diet. It's not a fix all. No. I don't know what her health was like or what her diet was like before she started doing that. Right. So it could have been, you know, I mean, if you're severely overweight and you start eating right and getting, obviously your knees are going to get better, your circulation's going to get better, everything's going to get better. But I think that it sends a little bit of false hope that if you follow this diet and you eat only these things and you do everything I say to do, it's going to cure your MS.
Right.
And I already do a lot of those things, and mine's getting worse. So, but I think that it could create false hope in people. Now, I also think that there are people out there that are living an unhealthy lifestyle. That yes, if you're eating pizza and McDonald's and Burger King and fried food every night, and then you go to, you know, eating more fruits and vegetables and, you know, less red meat, which our bodies are not made to break down anyway. And, you know, you throw fish into your diet and, you know, stop drinking the sodas. as much like I did. And I didn't realize how important hydrating is for your gut. Insane how much better my gut is. And I think some of it's that, and some of it's that I don't like. One of the things I don't do is I don't cook with butter anymore. I use extra virgin olive oil. And so my gut health is definitely better, which makes me feel better. It hasn't really, I haven't seen it take care of any of the things that I have that relate to the MS, but I feel better because my belly doesn't feel bad all the time now. And I have more time to focus on, okay, well, what hurts today and how can we take care of it? Is it an Epsom salt bath day? Is it a dry brush day? Is it a, put your feet up in bed day? Which of these things do you need? So I can focus more on that instead of my belly just being gross all the time. So, and I know that that's what it is because we went out one day and I was like, you know what? I just want some BW3s. I want some wings. I want some bar food. It just sounded really good. It's been 4 weeks on this nutrition thing. Like, one time isn't going to kill me. It about killed me. I was sick for 2 days. Like I had the flu.
Yeah.
My body rejected every bit of what I ate. And so, I think that there's a huge correlation in it, but I don't think it's the end all be all. And I don't think that people should be out there saying, oh, well, if you do this, it's going to cure you. If you do this, it'll get you out of that wheelchair, because it's not going to do that for everybody.
Right.
But that's, again, just my opinion. Some of the other things she had to say, I think were great. And I do think people should, especially those of us whose bodies are battling themselves, I think it has a great benefit for us. But I don't think I don't think, like I said, I don't think it's the end all be all. Like, I'm still going to go have a cheeseburger. I'm going to take the bread off and probably not eat it. But, I'm still going to do those things every now and then. It's just not something I do all the time, which all in turn is some type of serotonin lifter, because it's like, ooh, I can have a treat.
Yeah.
So
a reward.
That's just, yes, that's just my 2 cents on it. Like, I have all the respect in the world for.
Yeah. Well, I will say a couple of things. I've gotten to where, because I'm so clean with my diet, that I have to cheat with clean things now. Because if I try to cheat with like something else, like where I think it's okay, because I hardly ever go out to a restaurant. I went to Olive Garden like a month ago with a friend, and I ballooned up afterwards. And I told her, I'm like, I looked at the menu. I looked at all the things. And she goes, and I cheated. I had their Italian donuts because they're so good in chocolate sauce. They're so yummy. And I had, and I probably should have had one, but I was like, yeah, fine. Oh,
Living life.
I bloated up. And I was like, I said, all the work you just did, because it was Shirley. I had went in for my lymphatic massage, and then we went to dinner. And I'm like, all that work you did, out the window. I'm all ballooned up. It's crazy. It's crazy. And then it took me at least 2 weeks to get that down. So for me, it's not worth it. I can dream about it. Oh, those donuts are so good.
They have cinnamon on them, so I can't eat them. So
yeah. So, but I will say this too, like with the Walls protocol for MS, that's well known. With Lyme disease, there's like Dr. Darren Ingalls has the Lyme protocol. That book's very good. It really is. It has a lot of good, like diet, exercise, different protocols to try. Then there's the Cowden protocol. There's the Bunner protocol. There's a Dr. Cass Ingram that I researched because of the oregano oil and how he used that to get his Lyme. I took things from everybody's stuff that they put out. So if you only focus on one doctor and you're like, that's it, he's going to get me well, or she's going to get me well. No, it is a jug puzzle. I said jug puzzle. Jigsaw puzzle.
Jigsaw puzzle. Jug puzzle.
It's a jug puzzle. Yeah, that's all good.
I absolutely, I 100% agree with that. And see, I think that's one of the problems right now with MS is that right now the only one that I haven't done a ton of research, but the Walls protocol is the only one that I've seen. There aren't multiple books that you can read or, information that you can read that says it's like a jumbling. So I've kind of done the same thing. I've taken a few things from her. I think that one of the things that I like about her is, the mental health aspect of it. Whatever you're going through, it's part treatment and part how you handle it. At least that's what I think. Because I mean, if I want to sit here and be like, oh my gosh, I have MS and I feel terrible and I'm not getting out of bed today, that would be every day of my life. But instead I'm like, you know what, we're going to get up. Let's just do something little. And then maybe I feel better. And then, you know, my day goes better. But I think that you're 100% right, Angie. You've got to take all of these different pieces from different people and kind of put them together in a jug puzzle.
Jug puzzle. I'll never live that down.
That fits for you. You know, I think that that is super important. Maybe I'll write a book on that.
I was just going to say about like the fundraising side of it, and what have you got sort of planned for next year with all your fundraisers and things? Because I know it's hard to find something, you know, when you do have a chronic illness that can get people in your community involved without them putting their own health back.
Right. So the year before COVID hit, I did my first MS walk, and I just did fundraising on my Facebook, and I think I raised about $500, which to me, for just one person, isn't that bad. And then we have a favorite restaurant, and I went to them and I was like, hey, out of curiosity, you want to sponsor my walk? And they did. They gave me gift certificates to hand out for donors. They made all my t-shirts for me, which was like 2, because it was just my husband and I. And then COVID hit and they quit doing the walk. And then this year I didn't do it, honestly, because I was just dragging my feet and I hadn't been feeling good. And I'm in between disease modifying therapies. So my body's kind of not in the right place. But next year, I've got a group of girls, hopefully their husbands will go too, and we're going to do the MS walk. They do it on the canal down by the zoo here in Indianapolis. And it's a really good day. They do it in a way it's a pretty easy walk for people. So I'm going to start probably, maybe August or September, maybe later than that. I'm going to start just trying to get things ready and see if I can get some community involvement and, you know, just have a big group. Oddly enough, there are several of us, Angie from Ben Davis, that have MS, which is odd. Yeah. And so I think we may all I'd love for all of us to kind of group up together and, you know, have a big walk. But I'm definitely going to get involved with that next year. And then I'm also in the midst, because I need something to do other than cook and clean and stare at walls. The Multiple Sclerosis Association of America, or MSAA, and the MS Society. Those are both great sources of information and research and everything else. I'm going to start being an MS advocate, where it's a volunteer position, but I will have it'll either be a text to chat or a video chat or whatever, and I'll be able to talk to people newly diagnosed and just help answer questions and help navigate the disability system, because it is not nice. It took me 2.5 years. It is not nice to us. So yeah, those are some of the things I have planned. Hopefully I get on this new DMT and I start feeling better and I can do all these things I have planned. That's my hope. So yeah, hopefully next year will be a fun fundraiser year for me.
Yeah. This will be in 2025, correct? March of 2025?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. And oddly enough, one of my best friends, she's a lot younger than me. She had been going through some stuff, and I said, I think you just ought to go see a neurologist. Just go get it checked out. And she did, and she has MS.
Wow.
And yeah, she only has a few lesions. She's young, so hopefully they can catch it quickly. They haven't started her on a DMT yet because they're trying to hold on. That she definitely has symptoms of it. She's definitely dealing with it and going through it. But because of where her lesions are at, I think they're trying to find the best disease modifying therapy for her. And there's so many out there right now. It's crazy. And they're all so freaking expensive. But just that was one of the things when you said, Angie, that sometimes just talking to somebody, that made me feel good that she knows my story, and I shared it, and I just kind of kept on her about it. And I wouldn't wish it on anybody, but I'm glad that she got the answers now instead of, in her late 40s like I did. So,
yeah. Have you started doing the advocacy yet, or are you going to do that?
No, I'm in the steps of it. I've sent all my stuff in and they've approved it. So now it's just a matter of figuring out the wins and what times, if because I'm an early to bed kind of person. I get up at the same time as my husband, 5:30 every morning, and not every morning, a lot of mornings. Shouldn't say every morning. So we go to bed fairly early, and I'm better. There are certain, I don't know if you guys have this with Lyme. There are certain times of the day where I'm better. Like first thing in the morning, just don't even speak to me.
Yeah, I like that.
When we do these podcast things, I am struggle. I am struggle buzz. You see me, I got my coffee. It's my organic coffee, so nobody talk to me about it. I have my organic coffee, and I'm sitting here, and I may look all put together, but really, I want to go back to sleep.
Oh, trust me, girl, as soon as we get done, I'm I'll lay down, take a nap, and watch some bad TV.
Right?
But so I'm gonna total shiny squirrel here right now. Your organic coffee. So that's one of the things that I can't do anymore is coffee. The caffeine just.
Oh,
That's another thing I was going to say too. Since I quit drinking the Diet Coke for anybody that's watching this that drinks caffeinated drinks, if you suffer from high anxiety, I highly suggest that you get rid of your caffeinated drinks because I'm still an anxious person. It's just what it is, Yeah. But my level of anxiety has gone from here to about here since I got rid of the Diet Coke.
Yeah.
And that's when I figured I had a coffee at breakfast one morning and I was like, my heart was just racing. Oh, no. I'm like, I'm going to bounce off the walls. But I found through my friend that also has MS, she turned me on to Rise coffee. It's RYZE. And it's a mushroom coffee.
Oh,
it's delicious. Oh, and it's got just a little bit of caffeine in it. It's not like fully loaded. It's absolutely delicious, and it's got like anti-inflammatory properties in it. I had it when we were on our little vacation together, and I went kayaking, which is not something I thought I could ever do. But I had drank that coffee most of the time we were there, and I think the anti-inflammatory properties in it really helped. So I've got some ordered. I'm just waiting on it to get here because I drug my feet about that too. But you should try it. It's delicious.
Well, I already do my mushrooms, and I can put my mushroom extracts in my coffee. I have researched coffee. Like this coffee company is really good, and they do have decaf. And they have half calf stuff too, because they have ground or they have like their little K cups. They have you can get whole beans, whatever. But they freshly roast your coffee per order, and they don't fill those K cups.
Too.
Really good. I'll send it to you so you can look at it and see. But I went for a while I couldn't drink coffee either. Like it was a long time, probably a couple of years, and then I was able to start slowly having it again. But there'll be spells where I go through where it just does not taste good to me, no matter what kind I get. And I think it's part of it. Well, Micky, we really enjoyed having you on today. You've really taught us a lot about MS, and we're very excited to see you being an advocate, and you'll have to let us know about your fundraiser next year. So before we leave, what is something you can offer people that is hopeful or inspiring? I mean, you've been a very big inspiration today, but like when someone that's newly diagnosed or they don't know what's wrong with them and you're trying to help them, that you remember that despair and that, all the emotions that you have that are on top of you when you receive a diagnosis, or even when you can't get a diagnosis. What's something that you can say to offer hope?
So I would say, like I said earlier, like 100% advocate for your health with everybody, even if that means having to get rid of people, or not necessarily get rid of people. That sounded terrible, but having to maybe spend less time with some people or get some people out of your lives. But advocate for your health with your doctor, with your spouse, with your friends, everybody. Don't be afraid to say no. Like don't, because there are days that I have plans and I wake up and I really wanted to do them, but I wake up and my body won't let me. Don't feel guilty for that, because I've spent a lot of guilt. I've sat in a lot of guilt with that. But I think as far as hope, like just don't give up. There's so much. It sucks. Like nobody wants MS, but I have learned so much about myself through having this and my resilience. And there's always somebody out there to listen. Find that person, find a community. And I think like my biggest thing, don't let it define you. It doesn't define you. What it can do is it can make you be an advocate or a voice for somebody that maybe doesn't have a voice. You'll learn so much information if you get diagnosed with this disease, and you'll get it from everywhere. And allow yourself to process it. And I think my biggest thing and I don't know if this is hope, like it's been a good source of hope for me, is I was so despondent at first. I was, because all of a sudden now I'm not hiking and I'm not doing all these. I still do them, but not the way I used to.
Yeah.
So it's not like all the things you love stop. You just have to find a different way to navigate them. I don't go on 10-mile hikes or 5-mile hikes. I go on, a half-a-mile hike up the woods, a mile some days if I can do it. So don't stop doing the things that you love, because they don't go away.
Yeah.
And you actually find things that you love when something like this happens. Surround yourself with good people and don't lose faith, and just always have hope.
Yeah. I love that.
I love that.
And you're allowed to grieve. Don't sit there for too long.
Yeah.
True. Very good,
Yeah.
helpful information. Well, Micky,
Thank you
so much for being on today. We're so happy to have had you. I know we've talked about it for a while, and we're glad that we have had you on to share your story. So good.
I am so grateful. Anytime.
Awesome. So until next time, make sure you like, share, and subscribe, and hit that bell so you get notified for all new episodes of Getting on My Nerves. Till next time, see you guys later.
See you later.
And hold on to the good memories. We climbed up the mountains and fell in the deep. We were holding on to something, then we lost belief. We're in the middle of a nightmare, hoping soon we'll wake up. And will you still be there when the morning comes? When the morning comes.